Hello guys, welcome back. So now in this tutorial, we are going to create our flow. So first let's go back here and I'm going to go to the gear icon here and click on setup. And then in the quick find, I'm going to type in flows and let's go ahead and click on this flow here. And the next thing is let's go ahead and click on this new flow button. This is going to be a screen flow. So I'm going to select the first option here and then hit the next button. It's going to be a free form. So choose that option. And the first thing is I have to go ahead and drop a screen element on the screen. So I'm going to drop it here. And this is going to be the screen property. So here I'm going to say enter your details. And the API name would be, you can change it and you can call it as registered user detail. That is going to be the screen. And then on the screen, first thing I'm going to drop is the name. So there is a name component available. You can just go ahead and utilize this name component. Okay, so let's go ahead and rather than using a text field, we're going to go ahead and drop this name and it automatically has first name and last name associated with it. Okay. So this is going to be the first name and last name it comes up. So we're going to go ahead and call it as name. And here you can, inside of this name, you can use the first name and last name. So we can call this as full name. And the next thing that we need to drop is email. So you don't have to drop a text field. We can use another component here called email. And you go ahead and drop this email over here. And now when you enter this email, this is the label. Okay, now you have to provide the API name. So I'm going to go ahead and say email is going to be the API name, or I'll call it as registered user email. That's going to be the API name here. And if you wanted to make it required, you can go ahead and choose the option as true. So then this email will become required. Similarly, if you want to make it read only, then you can go ahead and make this, choose the value as true. So if you want to go ahead and not make it required, then you just have to select true here. So this is the global constant true, but we don't want that. We want to leave this field as editable. So we're going to go ahead and choose false. Then if you have a placeholder text, right now it says you@example.com, you can change this placeholder to whatever you want to say. Let's say you want to say enter your email if you want to say that. So it will change it here. So all the extra content will look like this. We don't want this. So I'm going to remove it. And the next one is, that's it. And then here, go ahead and hit the next element that we want to drop is the country, right? So you have to allow the country. So we are going to allow pick list. But where should the values of this pick list should come from? So the values of this pick list should come from the object that we have, registered user, right? From that, we want to go ahead and choose it. So here I'm going to say country, API name is going to be country. And do you want the users to select multiple options? No, we don't want it. Component type, do you want it to make it a pick list or a radio button? I want to leave it as a pick list only. Now choice, you can add your own choices here. So if you, let's say you have to give the same exact pick list values that you gave, you can do that. Or what you can do is you can display those pick list values. Okay, so here I'm going to go ahead and create a new choice, and here I'm going to say pick list choice set. So okay, I already have a pick list choice set that I'm going to use, and I'm going to call it as country names, and I'm going to use my registered user object that I created. On that registered user, there was a field. Okay, there was a field, and what was the name of the field? Country. So whatever the values that I have in the country pick list on this registered user object, that is what will be displayed over here. Okay, so basically rather than creating a new pick list set of values, what you're using is you're using the exact same pick list values that you have provided over in your registered user object. So those values will pop up from the registered user object. So if I go back here, you can say the choice is stored into this country name. Now what is this country name? Country name is nothing but a pick list which I am taking from the registered user object, and the field is country. Okay, so that is what it is. And whatever the user will choose, that will get stored into this API name field. So now the next field that we're going to choose is going to be the state. Okay, so I'm going to choose a pick list again, and I'm going to go ahead and drop this pick list here. But the values of this pick list is not going to come from any object field. Okay, I'm going to manually go ahead and enter the values of this pick list. So here I'm going to go ahead and call this as state. API name is also going to be state, and then it's a pick list, and then now it's asking me provide me the values. Okay, so here I'm going to go ahead and say the values are, let's say, North Carolina, and it's, you have to make it a choice. Okay, so the choice is North Carolina is what you're going to see on the screen, and the value is also going to be North Carolina, and the data type is going to be text. That's one option that you're going to see. Other option that you're going to see is Texas, let's say, and we've created this choice. Similarly, you can pick another one. Let's say we have South Carolina. So some of the fields I'm giving. Then if you want another state, you can do it. Otherwise, just leave it to with these three values. Okay, so these are the pick list values that you're going to see, and then go ahead and hit the done here. So these are the elements that you're going to see on the screen. Now, nothing is being created in the registered user. So whatever the information you're going to enter here is not going to get stored into your registered user object, because we need to create that record, right? So let's go ahead and hit the save here. I'm going to call it as register user flow, and this is the API name. Hit the save. Now if I go ahead and run it, this is how it'll look like. So it'll ask me to enter my first name, my last name, and then email format. So if you try to enter something else, it's going to tell me that you entered a invalid format. So that is the beauty of using this email component rather than using a text field. Okay, because the validation is already inbuilt in this component. And then we have is the country. So you can see this is the complete list of countries that you have. You can choose, let's say I wanted to choose United States. I can go ahead and choose United States of America here. In the states, these are the only three values that I have provided, and that's it. But now when you hit the finish button, no record is going to get created. So there's nothing got created here. The reason is you do not have that creation record yet. So here I'm going to go ahead and hit all. Nothing got created over here. So now going back to the flow again. So let's go back to the flow. And now the next thing we need to do is we need to drop this create record. Okay, so we need to create our registered user. So I'm going to call it as create registered, or we can say store registered user. And how many records you want to create? Only one. And how to set the record fields? I'm going to go ahead and provide my own way of doing it. So what kind of record you want to create? I'm going to select my custom object, and this is the custom object that I have. So on this registered object, there are multiple fields, right? So you have a first name field. So the value of the first name is going to come from this where. Which one? Full name, comma, first name. That is where the value is. So full name is the API name for that name field. And then it is divided, it has two parts to it, first name and last name. So we are saying from that full name, pick up the first name. Similarly, the last name field is going to get populated with whatever the user has entered in this full name and then last name field. Now the next one is email. So here I'm going to choose email and where the value is going to come from in that email. So where is the value coming from? So you can see here, this is the registered user email field. That is the API name. You can go ahead and either use this value, whatever the user has entered, that is where the value is. So whatever user has entered is available in this value field. And then next one is we have country. So there is a country field that is available, and the value of this is going to come from whatever the user has chosen in this country pick list. And the next one is the state, and the value is going to come from this state pick list. So there are a couple of things to keep note of here. So full name was the API name of that name field, which has two parts to it. One is the first name and last name. So what we are saying here is whatever the user has entered in the first name field, put it into this object field. Similarly, the last name, whatever the user has entered on that last name field, put it into this object field. Similarly, whatever the user has entered in the email field, the value of that will be stored into this, and then the country, whatever the value is of that country, and similarly the state. Now let's go ahead and hit the done. So now you have created the record. Let's go ahead and save it, and let's make sure it is running as we expect. Okay, so now here, if I go ahead and hit the run, it should create a record in the all registered user. Okay, so here I'm going to say Deepika, this is the, and then the country I'm choosing is United States, state is Texas, email address is info@mytutorialrack.com, and then hit the next here. So now if I go under the all registered user, there should be a record should get created, which is true. Automatically this U001 record got created. Under this U001, whatever I have entered, right? So you can see Deepika Khanna, that was in the first name, last name. This is how the email looks like. It's an email field. So whatever the value of that email field is, it is shown here. Similarly, this is the country I've chosen, and then Texas was the state I picked, right? So that got stored over. Now you can create another record. So I'm going to go back and activate this and run. Now here I'm going to say next is going to be Manish, last name Khanna. I'm going to say Khanna Manish at gmail.com. Country, this one I'm going to pick up is India. So I'm going to go ahead and choose India here. So there's no state. Okay, so the state is going to be blank, and then hit the next. And now here coming back, if I go under the registered user, I see another user got created, and this user is going to be the same. I've entered Manish as a first name, last name is Khanna, this is the email, country is India, the state I did not choose anything, so it is completely blank. So whatever is in part of this flow, the requirement to create a screen like this and enter all that information what the user has entered, store that data into this registered user object. So this flow is very simple. All it is doing is we have a screen which the user is going to be seeing, and he can enter information, and you can make the screen as complex as you want or as detailed as you want. You can add their phone number, you can add other things, their qualifications, etc. right? And then after that, whatever the information the user has entered, we are storing all that information into this registered user object. So you are creating a record of this registered user, and all these values you are populating from whatever the user has entered in the previous screen. And that's it, and hit the done. In the next tutorial, we are going to make few more modifications to this flow. And what kind of modifications? I'm going to talk about those in the next tutorial. So I'll see you then. Thank you so much.